Sage's last day, we were home the night before. We had just had a really large meeting where we really collectively kind of had the discussion that, it was time to really shift gears. There were no more interventions that could be done. We all had a really full understanding of what Sage was experiencing at that moment in time, and we had gone home really to somehow begin pondering how would we possibly know when it was time to redirect care, and really, how would we know that it was time for the end? And of course, that's basically unanswerable, and it's impossible to really have that conversation, I think, at least in our experience. And when we got to the hospital that day, Sage was different. He had been kind of propped on a boppy pillow, and he had a BiPAP machine on, and we had spoken to one of the nurses overnight. They were trying to decide whether or not to intubate, and they wanted us to be there before they made the decision, because they felt that if he had been intubated, that he would not be coming off the respirator.
It was a really hard thing to walk into.
He looked very different. He was swollen.
Very swollen. And that boppy pillow we had brought in because he had been doing better. So we were practicing, having him sit up. And we walked in, and the CPAP was just, kind of, it's not a violent machine, but it felt that way.
The one that it covers the face, it's very intense looking. And Sage he didn't look like himself at all.
Yeah.
His spirit energy wasn't there. Something had happened overnight, and it was just clear. I'm not even sure if we spoke words about it.
Yeah, we did. I remember speaking them. I feel like I kind of had to, as his mom. You know what I mean? Like, we needed to, and we said it, and it was in the morning, and it just very quickly changed. And the nurses, they came in, and, for the first time, the monitor was shut off, which was very jarring. I think that Eric and I had become very accustomed to looking up at it and checking his vitals.
Yep.
And they turned it to look out the window, and I thought, and I think about it still, just how kind of symbolic that was. Like, even the screen that had been tending to our son couldn't really look at what was happening to him. But we walked in and we knew. Just like we knew that the surgeries that we were entrusting him to were going to help him. We had been given the final analysis by, it was the whole team, the epileptologist, the nurse, and even Dr. Orbach agreed. That it wasn't a matter of saving him any longer. So when we had that definitively, we knew we had done everything for him. His body was being pushed far past it should have for an infant, because that's what he was. He was still a newborn. So we played music.
Yeah, we removed all of his equipment.
We held him, and we just let him go. We told him it was okay, and we loved him, and
yeah, we held him all day.
Yeah.
And I played a song for him, and that was really aside from the day he was born, that was really the first time that we had been able to hold him without, being worried that we were going to pull out an IV or having all these wires or needing multiple people to kind of help him be in our arms. And we sat together in a chair,
Yeah, we squeezed into an armchair.
He was there with us, and we passed him back and forth, and it took hours. Yeah. It took hours, and I remember whispering to him that it was okay for him to go, that we loved him. And we surrounded him in as much love as we could possibly muster.
Yeah. I think that he consciously, again, it's hard, right? It's such a deeply unique experience, and he was a baby. I think Eric and I really tried to make sure that he never felt fear from us. Throughout the entire experience, we wanted him to just know love, even when we were holding him. And so even in his death, I think one of the things that Eric and I discovered is that it matters so much how they die as well. And it's so hard to, to be present with it and to know what's happening and allow it. I think that was really, it made me feel a little bit crazy while it was happening. To be holding him and knowing what his body was doing, the body that I birthed only a few months prior.
I think
we loved him, but I think the fact that he looked different, he had suffered and he had been through so much, and it was just by far the most loving thing that I think Eric and I could have done, was to understand in that moment. Nobody told us. It wasn't during a surgery. It wasn't apart from us. It was by our own understanding and intuition, and it was right. And it's a gift that Eric and I know we gave him, and we carry that with us, absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that I think it contributed to our healing immensely. You know what I mean? Is we knew, and we carry that. We know that it was right, despite how wrong it was.